Many taxpayers who are considering participating in the Offshore Voluntary Disclosure Program ask, do I have to pay that 27.5% penalty? And the answer is, if you want to stay in the Offshore Voluntary Disclosure Program, also known as the OVDP, yes, you have to pay that 27.5% penalty. However, if you want to opt out of the civil penalty structure and request a waiver or reduction of penalties, you do have the option of doing that. If you choose to opt out of the OVDP, several things come into play. First of all, the IRS can and usually does execute a full examination of all of the tax years that are still open under statute. This means not just an audit of the amended returns that you filed disclosing foreign income and foreign dividends, but also an audit of the returns as originally filed. So if you filed a Schedule C or a Schedule D on your original return, the IRS can ask for proof of basis on your Schedule D or proof of expenses claimed on your Schedule C, and this can get really involved. Second of all, if you choose to opt out, you are subject to all of the civil penalties available under the law. Now, there is a reasonable cause exception for most of these penalties. However, deciding whether or not reasonable cause applies is a legal analysis that you really need an attorney to help decide. One of the most egregious penalties that the IRS can assess if you choose to opt out of the OVDP is the FBAR penalty, which is a $10,000 penalty for failure to file the FBAR. Now, this is the non-willful penalty, and the maximum they can assess is $10,000 per account per year. This means if you had one foreign account that you didn't report, and you didn't report it over 6 years, the IRS could assess a total penalty of $60,000. There are also mitigating guidelines that explain when a lower penalty should be assessed, and there's also reasonable cause resulting in 0 penalties if that applies. Whether or not you qualify for that is a legal analysis that needs to be done. One of the most surprising things that people have been subject to during the opt-out process when they choose to opt out of the OVDP is the amount of time it takes after waiting for 12 to 18 months for the OVDP to finish, and then going through the opt-out process can be another 6 to 8 months, if not longer, before the whole case is resolved. While opting out of the OVDP can be a stressful decision, we have had a lot of success and have found that the IRS has been more lenient than we initially expected they would be for people opting out of the program. However, it does take a lot more time from both your attorney and you gathering records, answering questions. There's usually a taxpayer telephone interview in which the taxpayers have to speak with the revenue agent directly, and there's a lot of risk involved. So it's important to talk to someone who has a lot of experience in this area before deciding whether or not you want to opt out of the OVDP.